When we consider the normalization, these are the points which are in normalization, or we need to cover all these points in normalization. The first one is purpose of normalization, data redundancy and update anomalies, functional dependencies, identifying functional dependencies, identifying the primary key using functional dependencies, the process of normalization, first normal form, second normal form, third normal form, bias code normal form, fourth normal form, fifth normal form. So start with the purpose of normalization. Why to use normalization or why to perform the normalization? The goal of relational database design is to generate a set of relation schemas that allows us to store information without unnecessary redundancy. That is the important word here. The goal of relational database design is to generate a set of relations schemas that allows us to store the information without unnecessary redundancy. Means the address of the student, if we store it 10 times in the table, it is unnecessary sub redundancy, correct? So avoid, store the data to avoid this unnecessary redundancy. Also allows us to retrieve the information easily. Whatever the information stored in the database, it allows us to retrieve the data easily. One approach is to design the schemas that are in appropriate normal form is known as normalization. It is nothing but the designing of the good database, or we call it as a good database design concept with help of normalization. So the purpose of normalization is to identify a suitable set of relations that support the data requirement of the enterprise. Requirement analysis is always important everywhere. So the purpose of normalization is to identify a suitable set of relations that support the data requirement of an enterprise. In university example that we have seen, in that we need to use find out the suitable set of relations. Means course is required, department is required there as it is a university. The courses under the department is important. The instructors are important. The students are important. Then the timetable is important. The buildings are important. All these things are important things we need to identify first and generate the database in this way. The characteristics of suitable set of relations include, means the course relation is there, department relation is there. In this way, whatever the instructor relation is there, what are the characteristics of this relation? What characteristics that relation should possess? The first one is the minimal number of attributes necessary to support the data requirement of the enterprise. That I told in the previous lectures also. So while you decide the attributes, try to minimal number of attributes which support the requirement of the enterprise. Means in the department name, building, budget, sufficient. Not necessary the size of the department or the different things that are not required. Instructor, ID, name, department name, salary. Okay, it is sufficient. Not necessary the dependents, who are the dependents of that instructor and all these things. The minimal number of attributes necessary to support the data requirement of the enterprise. In our university example, for student, ID, name, salary, total credits are sufficient. Okay, so use minimal. Minimal redundancy with each attribute. Avoid the redundancy. If we use the address of the particular student 10 times in a table, then it is no useful or it is meaningless. So minimal redundancy with each attribute. If we store the name of the student 10 times, it is also meaningless. Means if we together store the data of course and the student, the courses which are taken by that student. Suppose the student has taken 10 courses, need to store the 10 times that student information. It increase the redundancy or duplication. So minimal redundancy with each attribute. Attributes with a close logical relationship as that we are going to describe in functional dependency are found in the same relation. Attributes, it's a very important, the characteristics, attributes with a close logical relation. What are the attributes of instructor? ID of the instructor, name of the instructor, department name of the instructor, and salary. Suppose I add here credits. Is it relevant? No. Is there any relation? Here in this, there is a relation. What? This is the name of the instructor with this ID. This is the department name of the instructor with this ID and name. This is the salary of this instructor. Suppose in the student, ID is there, name is there, department name is there, and credits are there. In that, I use the salary. Is it meaningful to use this attribute? No. Why? There is no relation between any of the other attribute. It is the relation that this is the name of the student, this is the department name of the student, these are the credits earned by that student. But the salary is totally not meaningful. No logical relation of this attribute with any of the others. But all these four are logically close logical relation between these attributes. So whatever the attributes we are using, it should be a close logical relation between the attributes. That is about the characteristics of the attributes. The minimal number of attributes that satisfy the data requirement of the enterprise, minimal redundancy with each attribute, and attributes with a close logical relationship in between them. So in this way, normalization support database design. I'm going to show you. This is the part of data requirement. Suppose for the simple bank, small bank, corporation, you are going to generate a database. So you need to find the data required there. So user requirement specification, you need to visit to the bank, you need to visit to the branch manager, ask what are the requirements, which kind of database or which kind of, not database, application they want. Then you need to meet the users, different clerks in the bank actually who are going to use the application. You need to collect the forms from the bank which are used now manually, that you are going to perform or convert it into the software. So that forms reports you need to find out. So in this way, all these together you need to find as a data source. Then there are two types of approach, top-down approach and bottom-up approach. What is top-down approach? From this entire data requirement analysis, generate an ER model. Okay? Generate an ER model. These are entities. This is the relation, This is the relation between these entities in this way. Generate the ER model. And then use normalization that we are going to study. Use the normalization, apply the normalization, convert it into the set of relation. ER model is mapped, convert into the set of relation, and use normalization as a validation technique. Means whether these are in normal form, whether there is no redundancy, try to minimize the redundancy. The attributes are minimal, attributes are there in relation. No redundancy with the attribute. There is a close logical relation between all the attributes. All these things are need to be considered as a normalization, whatever the set of tables relations generated. And once it is a good database, then set of well-designed relations. The second approach is the bottom-up, in which whatever the data required, first apply the normalization technique. First apply the normalization technique and then through which directly generate the relations. But the good method is that first use top down. First design an ER model, convert into the set of relations and check whether these are in the as a good database design. If not, apply the different normalization technique, validate it and generate a set of well-designed relationship. So in this way, there are two approaches for normalization, top down approach and bottom up approach. These are the two approaches normally used for normalization. Normalization, we are going to refer some another example. The example is given here. The property database we are going to consider here for normalization unit. So branch with branch number property database. What is this database? Here the simple concept behind the database is that there are some properties which are registered for the branch. What is the purpose of that company property, that enterprise, that they collect the data from the owners about the properties that they want to give on the rent. The properties may be of any type such as bungalow, flat, etc. So this company whose branches are located in different cities collect the information, or the owners register to that branches with the information about their properties which they want to give on the rent. Okay, so that company has some branches with branch number, street, city and postal code where these are located. Then these branches have some staff numbers associated with them, that is staff number, first name, last name, position, sex, date of birth, salary and the branch number to which that staff is allocated. Then property for the rent. So property which the person want to give on the rent. What are the specifications or what are the characteristics of that property that are required here? Property number, then address of that property, where it is located, street, city, postcode, type means whether it is a bungalow, whether it is a flat, whether it is a small house, in this way. Number of rooms, what rent that property owner expected, owner number, so owner number is from the owner, private owner number, staff number and branch number. So it is attached here after converting the ER diagram to the schema diagram. So owner number, staff number and branch number. Then means the staff member who is going to show that property or going to deal with that property, branch with which this property is registered, that is branch number. Then the client, so the client also approach to that particular branch if they want to take some property on the rent. So client numbers, okay, so client who want to take that property on the rent, client number, first name, last name, telephone number, property type, which type of property that client want to take on rent and the maximum rent affordable to that particular client. Then private owner, owner number, first name, last name, the address, residential address of that owner and telephone number. Viewing is the relation between the client and the property. So the client see that property, okay, that is view that property, viewing, client number, property number, view date and comment. So view date and comment, these are the descriptive attributes for this relationship set. Okay, registration, client number, so it is the ternary relation between the client, branch and the staff. So the client number, branch number, staff number and date joined. So these are some attributes and these are some relations that we are going to refer here for this normalization topics that we are going to see afterwards. Property database. Okay, so now the first part, that is data redundancy and update anomalies. Now see, a major aim of relational database design is to group attributes into relations to minimize the data redundancy. What is the purpose of normalization? Minimize the data redundancy. See, it is not possible to avoid the entire redundancy. In some cases, we need to keep the duplication, we need to keep the redundant data, but the major aim of database is to minimize this data redundancy. So if this goal is achieved, if we minimize the data redundancy, then it is easy to update the data which is stored in the database, and it is reduce the file storage space required by the base relation, thus minimize the cost. So if we try to reduce or we are achieve this goal, Okay, minimum data redundancy, then the storage space required is very less, or we minimize that storage space. That's why minimize the overall cost of the system. Now, one example we are going to see for data redundancy and what is mean by update anomalies. Now see here one example is given, staff branch. This is the name of the relation with these are the attributes. Staff number, then staff name, position, salary, branch number and address. Okay, suppose these are 6 attributes. With these staff numbers are there, these staff names, the position of SL21 John White is manager with the salary 30,000. To which branch it is working from for branch number B005 with this address. Now, when we look towards this table at this relation, what we observe here that this relation, it has the redundancy in the branch address, maximum redundancy in branch address. Why? Because there are 3 staffs which are associated with B003, B003, B003. There are 3 staffs are associated with branch B003. Okay, 1, 2 and 3, and that's why the address of that branch is stored 3 times. The address of the branch is stored 3 times. If that branch has 100 employees, staffs are associated with that branch, then 100 times we need to write the branch address. That is the major redundancy in this particular relation or in this particular example. Now, our aim is to reduce it. But if such kind of redundancy is there, then what problem it creates? If such kind of redundancy is there, what problem it creates? So, in this relation, we know that it is a redundant relation. Some redundancy is there. So, relations that have redundant data may have problems called update anomalies, which are classified as insertion anomaly, deletion anomaly, and modification anomalies. Now we are going to see all these anomalies in detail with example for the same relation. So first we start with insertion anomaly. So there are 2 main types of insertion anomalies. Consider staff branch relation. To insert the details of new members of the staff into the staff branch relation, we must include the details of branch at which the staff is associated or located. Means what? Meaning of this is, suppose I want to insert a new staff SL50 with Johnny D'Souza, which is supervisor, and the salary is 18,000, who is associated with B005. So I want to insert this staff information, then I need to add the branch information also. So B005 22 Deer Road, London. Means along with this staff information, it's the name, position, salary, I need to add here the address of that branch number and address of that branch also. Means it again increase the redundancy if I want to try to insert it. Another example of insertion, that suppose a new branch is open. Suppose a new branch is open with B006 with some address 21 Main Road, London. Suppose this new branch is open. Suppose I want to insert this new branch which is open into this staff branch relation. I can insert it like this: B006 1021 Main Road, London. Then what about the remaining attributes? So we need to add null values. We need to add null values. But we cannot do this. It is wrong. Why? Because in this staff number is a primary key and we never use null value or add a null value for the primary key. We never add a null value for the primary key. And that's why if a new branch is there open, we cannot insert that information into this table until a staff is allocated to that branch. Until a staff is allocated to that branch. So that is two cases of insertion anomaly. The first one is that suppose we want to staff, then along with that we need to add the staff branch number and address of that staff also. And if a new branch is open, cannot insert it directly. Why? Because for all other attributes, if we try to insert the null values, it not allowed because staff number is primary. Means we cannot insert B006 and its address, that branch address, until a staff is allocated to that branch. That is called insertion anomalies. Means the problem occurs while we insert the data. Second one is that updation anomaly. Second one is the updation anomaly. Now suppose a particular branch B003, its address is changed. Its address is changed from 163, it moved to 21 main road. Instead of 63, 21 main road, Glasgow. Okay. If this branch has updated his address, then there are 3 records with this B003, means we need to update it in all the 3 records. We need to update it in all the 3 records, and if it is not done, if this updation is not done in all the 3 records, if it is not affected in all the 3 records, then it results in data inconsistency. Suppose there are, as I told that 100 employees working with this branch, then we need to change 100 rows where the address is available. We need to change 100 rows where the branch address is available, and it is time consuming. Along with that, it may result in data inconsistency. It may result in data inconsistency. That is the case of updation anomaly. And the last one is the deletion anomaly. Deletion anomaly. For example, suppose I want to delete, or I delete a record with the staff number SA9. I execute a query, delete from staff branch where staff number is equal to SA9. Delete from staff branch where staff number is equal to SA9. What happens in this case if I query? This entire tuple got deleted. When I execute this query, the entire tuple got deleted. So what happens here? If we execute this query and entire tuple is deleted, so you can observe here that this is the only staff associated with this branch. This is the SA9 Mary Ho assistant. This is the only staff associated with B007 branch. And that's why if I delete this entire tuple, the information related to the branch also, we miss the information or we lose the information. This information also got deleted. So in this way, the updation anomalies are there: insertion, updation, and deletion anomaly. So how to solve this issue? Okay, staff branch relation. Now it is that it is a redundancy is there, and that's because of that redundancy, updation anomalies occurs with the staff branch relation. So the staff branch relation, one way to avoid these anomalies by decomposing the original relation into staff branch relation. Decompose the original relation into two relations, staff and branch relation. Staff and branch relations have more desirable properties than the staff branch relation. Okay, so this one. We divide or decompose. The word used in normalization is decomposition, and this word is very important. This word is very important. Decomposition of a relation means we divide that relation into two or more relations. So here the staff branch relation, it is divided into two relations, staff and branch. So staff has attributes staff number, staff name, position, salary, and only branch number. And the branch is the separate with branch number and address. Now here you can say here it is a duplication, but it is required. Why? Because we must know the staff is allocated to which branch, and number is there only. That's why it is not so much duplication. Now see, these two relation has more desirable properties than the staff branch. Why? Now check the insertion, deletion and updation anomaly. Suppose I want to insert a new staff that I told previously, SL50 Johnny D'Souza, which is supervisor, 18,000 salary for B00 was 5. Easily we can insert, not necessary to insert the address here. We can easily insert. Suppose a new branch is added, that is B006 with 21 Main Road, London. Then here also we can easily add. Not necessary the staff should be allocated there. We can directly add the branch and then the staff we can allocate to that particular branch. So in this way, insertion anomaly is not there. Now the updation anomaly. Suppose I want to change the address of this branch B003. I want to update the address of this branch. Only need to update it here, not necessary to check anywhere else. Single updation, no database inconsistency. Never result in database inconsistency. Why? Because we need to update it only once. That why no updation anomaly. Now deletion. I want to delete the record of this staff. Again I execute the same query that I have written previously. Delete from staff where staff number is equal to SA9. So when I execute this query, this record will be deleted. But the branch information B007 with address remains as it is. Means no result in deletion anomalies. Why it happens? Because we decompose the relation into two relations with more desirable properties, less redundancy. In this way, decomposition we can do. Now, whenever we perform the decomposition, it must possess two properties. Whenever we perform decomposition, it must possess two properties. And what are that properties? First one, lossless joint decomposition. Lossless joint decomposition means we convert that or decompose staff branch into staff and branch. So whenever we join it again, it must result in the original relation. No loss of extra information or no loss of information. See, the decomposition has two properties. Whenever larger relation decompose into smaller relation, it must possess two properties. Lossless joint decomposition and the dependency preservation. So lossless joint means what? Whenever we decompose that into smaller relation and rejoin it again for some queries or for some evaluation, it must generate the original relation. No extra information, no extra tuples, or no loss of tuples. And second one is the Dependency preservation means whatever the constraint on the original relation, all must be enforced to the smaller relation which are decomposed. Whatever the constraints on the original relation, whatever the functional dependencies these are possessed by original relation, also need to be followed by the decomposed relation. And these two things again we are going to study in detail with example afterwards. If a relation is decomposed more than two relation, whether it possesses all these properties to the both the properties yes or no, that we are going to study in detail. Why? Because this type of questions are asked in the GATE question paper. You have given a relation, it's a decomposition as an example and ask the simple question whether it is lossless joint decomposition and preserve the dependency. So this type of question asked in each and every GATE question paper previously. That's why we are going to study it in detail afterwards. First we complete the normalization, normal form, and then we will take with example. Only remember that always that every decomposed relation must possess these two properties, lossless joint and dependency preservation.